Well. Assalamu
Wow.
alaikum.
Assalamu
We
alaikum,
are back.
family.
We are back, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, friends and neighbors. This is another, well, actually, it's the first edition of season 3 of Nothing But the Truth with
Brother Jamil.
and Sister Tisha. And we are happy to be back on the air with you. Everybody, come on in the room. You
Wow.
old heads, you know the drill. Y'all come
Yes.
on in. Let's get inside the room and make our way over to our devices, our televisions. I heard, Tisha, that some people have us on the big screen at the house. They
So
pro-
exciting. I'm so
oh yeah,
glad.
they projecting us onto the big screen. So let me just make sure my hair. Let me,
It looks good. You look
okay.
marvelous.
Look,
Marvelous.
mom, and it's much more important to look good than it is to feel good, darling. Okay,
Mm,
so
there's that.
we're back with more information, more inspiration. This is a good night for us to talk because we have some very special guests whose
Mm,
seasonal appropriateness goes without saying. Today is April the 10th.
yes.
5 days from now is a big, important day on your calendar. We'll come back with more of that in a little while. But first, some housekeeping with the
Hmm.
greatest co host in all of entertainment, media, information, or news. She
Stop.
is Sister T. You go ahead, girl.
Assalamu alaikum, family. I'm so happy to be here. I missed you all so much. Welcome, welcome back to another exciting episode of Nothing But the Truth with Brother Jamil and Sister Tisha. I'm a little rusty on this, but we're just gonna jump in here and just do what we do. I want to remind everybody to help us grow this platform. And all you have to do, simply do, is go over to our YouTube page, Nothing But the Truth with Brother Jamil and Sister Tisha. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Tell a friend, and then go on over to our Facebook page. Right now, the Facebook page you're going to go to is my page, Tisha Muhammad, and then you want to like, share, and subscribe. We are in the process of setting up a new page under Nothing But the Truth, and we'll let you know as soon as that happens. Okay, get ready for an exciting show. We have a lot to share with some great guests. Huh?
Mm. Yeah, there's more. I
There's a
want you
lot
all.
more.
Yeah, I want you all. Thank you so much, Tisha. I want to ask you also tonight to like, share, and subscribe. Oh, there's a thumb came up on my screen. That was
That's you.
miraculous.
Um,
But like, share, and subscribe.
yeah,
We are nearing a milestone, and we want you to help us get there.
boy,
The
so
milestone
close.
that we're nearing is that we almost have 1,000 subscribers. I think we're like 50 subscribers away. So everybody tonight, just go over, like, share, subscribe, and during the night's broadcast, hey, comment. Make
Mm-hmm.
sure you make yourself known for being right here with us on Nothing But the Truth with Brother Jamil and Sister Tisha. It's the best way to do it, okay?
Right.
And for those who are inquiring, I did get your letters. We saw them, your emails, really not letters anymore, but they're emails. But we saw that you were asking, will the mystery man be back? He's back.
He's back, and we're glad.
He's back. And he requires large portions of food items. You know, you have to, the mystery man, he has the appetite. And so he's with us tonight. And if he doesn't open his microphone, you won't hear the munching sound. But we're very glad, grateful, and honored that he's back, as we are with all of you being with us this evening. So, Tisha, we got some special guests,
All right, let's
very special
let it be
guests.
known.
Let it be known and let it go forth from this place. Oh, and by the way, I found the number. We just need 45 more subscribers
On YouTube.
on YouTube. Just
Mhm.
45 more subscribers, and we'll be in, as they say, the house.
Yes.
Okay? In the house. But tonight's guests are very, very special members of our community, not just in the Nation of Islam,
Mm-hmm.
not just in the southern region, not just in the state of Mississippi or the city of Jackson. As you can see from the video that's up, they run a company called 3D Consulting. And we are joined tonight by Brother David and Sister Kathryn Muhammad of Jackson, Mississippi, they are the folks who help us keep our business in order. Mhm. They help us keep our business in order. 5 days from now, you'll be filing your federal income tax.
Right.
We don't need to say to you how important politically it is, because the political season that we live in is quite different than any that any of us can remember.
Mm-hmm.
Politics has been weaponized on any side of the issue as America enters the throes and grips of her final convulsions. That's just me saying it. Nobody else had that opinion. But as we enter the grips of the final convulsions of America, politics has been weaponized. And so we're asking you tonight to find out how you can do the right thing to keep people away from you and up out of your business. Is that an
Mm-hmm.
accurate way to say it, T?
It's accurate.
It's
You
accurate.
want to?
So let's bring forward tonight our brother and sister, brother David and sister Kathryn, all the way from Jackson, Mississippi. Come on in the room, y'all. Come on in the room. There they are.
Lincoln.
Family.
Hello.
Walaikum salam. We did not know that tonight would be as special as it is, but we are grateful that you chose to join us tonight, brother David, sister Kathryn, because your guesting on our show, and guest is a it's not a word that really applies to you because you are a family, but the fact that you're on our air tonight is of strategic importance to the community. It's of very great importance to make sure that all of us can do the things that we need to do in this hour. Let me start with the first and most obvious question that may occur to the minds of many of our viewers. What is going on out here in the world of politics? Is it any different this year? Should we be more careful, less careful? Is it just the same as it always been? What's happening politically with us observing the duties of citizenship?
Well, greetings, family, and definitely appreciate the opportunity to be on your illustrious podcast, Brother Jamil and Sister Tisha. This is a wonderful time. Well, I shouldn't say it like that, but it's a time that we kind of many of us dread each year,
Mm-hmm.
April the 15th. And what it means is that we rustle up our papers, get our stuff together, and we, file our taxes or find someone to file our taxes. Ironically, this is not, despite what we hear out in maybe here in the media about different things that are happening business wise, politically. From my experience and what I'm dealing with, I don't see much of anything different than any other year. Um, some people are really prepared. They have everything together and they go ahead and make sure that they file on time. And others that they're late, they end up filing an extension. But it's in terms of the people that have been coming in, it's somewhat similar to each year. It's not really any different than any other year, but it's just a year that you need to make sure that you get yourself in order because eventually, as they're coming with the IRS, they're they're small. They have a smaller group of people that are working. They're doing some layoffs, but they still have that
Mhm.
reputation, and they still are on their job to make sure that they catch those who are not filing their taxes.
I see. I see. Um, and Tisha, you had something you wanted to add. May I just drop in one little thing as a
Yes. Go ahead,
follow up?
please.
Thank you. If they're on their jobs and they're doing what they were hired to do, could you tell us a little bit about how we can, because the way we actually titled the program tonight, taxes, only pay what you should,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
We don't want to in any way fail to render unto the government what is the government's. We want to make sure that we do the right thing and are staying as law-abiding residents and citizens of this country, depending on your perspective. But how do we do that in such a way? Because the way it is out here in the world, everybody, every time we appear on an airwave or go in front of any crowd, we always have to make it fun and exciting and laugh. And taxes is not necessarily a sexy kind of subject matter.
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
the fact that we can obtain a degree of measure or a measure of safety for our families, that actually is very attractive. What would you say the steps that we should follow, almost everyone across the board, when it comes to how to go through this period of year successfully?
Mm-hmm.
The biggest thing I would suggest is that you have your records together. You know, just whatever you have, if you have your W-2s, if you have a business, and particularly if you have a business. If you have a W-2, normally you don't have much to worry about. You just have to kind of get that W-2 in and
Mm-hmm.
make sure that you have a record of it. Um, you know, make sure that your employer gives it to you on a timely basis. They're supposed to mail them out by January the 31st. So everybody should have them by now. But if in fact you don't have them, you can respond to them and ask them to send you an additional copy. I have had some people that have done that. But if you have a business, and this is very important, that you keep your records in an organized fashion. It would be
Mm-hmm.
good to have some type of accounting software, but if you don't, then at least have your records in a fashion that you can present to whoever's doing your taxes in a timely manner and in a somewhat organized manner, so that it can be kind of clear what it is that you're doing and what expenses are there, and that you account for all expenses.
Excellent.
Okay. So basically the good record keeping in your own household. Tisha, you are this is right up your alley, right? Is that
Mm-hmm.
something that you would agree with as the person responsible in our household for the maintenance of records and receipts and histories and all that? Is that
Right.
what you're finding
I
to be
agree. What
true?
I found is it's sometimes better to have more than you need than not what you don't need. Just just keep track of your receipts. Like he said, your records, when it comes time for taxes, it makes everything move so much smoother. That's what I found. But the reason I wanted us to have this show tonight, and I hope that we can get to touch on it, is because it is so important for us to do our due diligence and file our taxes in a timely manner so that it doesn't get away from us. I'm seeing a lot of times friends and family and just people we're talking to are putting off filing their taxes for whatever reason. I don't know if they didn't keep good records or they were just afraid of what they may owe or what they may not owe. And we wanted you guys to come on and share with our audience that it's really nothing to fear. If you educate yourself or maybe reach out to someone who specializes in that field, you'll be able to help them not pay what they don't owe.
Right.
My question is, do you find that it's now, you know how they have all of those tax software type programs out there? Do you find that it's more beneficial? It's okay to use that, or is it better to go professional?
Well, I would suggest it is okay to do the tax software on yourself for
Hmm.
yourself. That would work. I would suggest that you do use a professional for personal
Hmm.
reasons, of course. But
Of
I would
course.
suggest you
Right.
use a professional, because what it does is that professional can look at different things and different things that you may not have thought about. One of the
Hmm.
common things that our people in general look for is what they can get back.
Right.
And usually when you try to figure out what you can get back, there's some ways that you can plan ahead of time, that you can make sure that by the time the end of the year comes, like say, for example, we're in April now, and of course we're talking about tax year 2025.
Okay.
But this is the perfect time now to prepare and plan for this year that we're in, 2025. Because
Hmm.
what happens is, if you can have yourself organized, when it comes to the end of the year, you have everything in order.
Right.
And I can't tell you how many times that I ask people, especially if they have a business, is this all of your expenses? And they always say, many of them always say, well, I did the best I could. I don't have everything organized. Well, when you try to remember in December, if you try to remember what you did back in January, it's a little difficult sometimes. But
Right.
at the end of January, you can kind of wrap that up. So at the end of the year, you can have everything together and you can get the your full refund back or whatever, reduce your liability, so that you want to make it to where at least you don't owe.
Right.
It's
Right. Right.
good to have a refund, and a lot of people have refunds, but you want to at least be at the end of the year where you don't have to come out of your pocket, write a check, go on some type of payment plan to pay off,
Mm-mm.
because it can get away from you, just like you said.
And
Hmm.
a
Wow.
mistake I have seen
Okay.
a mistake I've seen people make is their withholding. they make that's the first mistake, is that when they fill out their W-4,
Yes.
their withholding, they don't do it correctly, and they don't get as much back as they could possibly. So if they would go to irs.gov and look up what the best withholding amount would be for how much they make, they would start off right. And by the time it's time to get, to file the taxes, you'll have a maximum amount back based upon what you make. What we have discovered is people trust their employer to tell them.
Yes.
They're not the right person
No.
to ask
Okay.
questions to. So go to irs.gov and go to the tax withholding, federal tax withholding estimate. That's a site on there. Just search it. It'll come up and it'll give you a little calculator. You put your amount in, and then it'll tell you the best thing to do. And you can always go back in and change that. Right?
Okay.
So change that with whoever you're working for, and making sure you're not trusting your employer to tell you, what to take out, because they're going to naturally check a small amount, so they don't have to pay all that out.
Oh,
you
wow.
want to do that for yourself, do your own due diligence, and do that for yourself. That starts there.
Okay.
My favorite thing is tax planning.
Mm-hmm.
You can come to us and get your tax planning done. But that means you go a month by month basis, so there are no surprises, and you can always make estimates along the way. Every 6 months, we can make an estimate for you as to what you'll probably be paid back or owe. You want to owe as very little as possible, of course, and you want something back for your efforts. The other thing is, of course, you said keeping up good records, but most people, the receipts are in the glove box. That's how that works, or trash, or the bottom of the bag.
Yes.
You want to know what the baseline, what the standard deductible is. You might have charitable contributions above that might help you. You want to know about your hospitalizations, the impact that has on that. You want to talk to someone who knows how to do that.
Yes.
Brother David happens to be an enrolled agent, which means he can talk directly to the IRS for anyone. I just want to put that in this plug.
Oh, this is great.
Okay. And that
This
matters
is what I'm
because now
talking
we have a question on the screen now from Brother Jerry. And Brother Jerry's asking a question: is there a particular software that you recommend that helps to organize our records for tax season? Is it Jackson Blewett or HR Puffin stuff, or whatever the names of the companies are? What? Why you laughing?
One of the softwares that is a very good software is QuickBooks. And QuickBooks has several different. They have for business. They have for specifically taxes or invoice preparation or just check preparation. They have different levels, but that's a good one. And there's several others. I know that QuickBooks is the one that I tend to use, but now there are things where you can take your invoice and you can scan your invoice and they can upload it, and you can keep in a portal for yourself as you're going through, if whatever invoices or receipts that you have. Because gone are the days of when I first started, there used to be people that would bring in trash bags.
Ooh.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I still have a couple that still do that.
That's me. Sorry.
But for 2025, we should be to the point to where we can do a little bit better than that. Just scan it, take a picture, and it should come out a lot easier.
Well, yeah, I mean, now scanning and taking the photos, and thank you, Brother Jerry, for your question. But scanning, taking photos, even storing in a trash bag is difficult for some people. Whoever those people are, I don't know who they are, but some people don't really keep a lot of records. And yes, Denise, walaikum salam, but we don't keep a lot of.
Right.
I'm sorry. Are you okay? Is there something?
Something was in
twitching
my
your
eye. Something was in my eye.
Yeah, I got it too. I caught it too.
Yeah. Don't, sisters. Anyway, so whoever these people are, what do those people do when they have the income and but they don't save receipts for the gas? I know a lady who literally will go to Dunkin' Donuts, get a cup of coffee, save the receipt, take a picture of it, submit it to a savings application, and then store the electronic record for the end of the year for a cup of coffee. Whoever
Makes
she is, I'm not going to name the lady, but but it is that kind of the people do that. So what do you do when there are opposites like that in the same household?
Well, I generally have a conversation and do a lot of Zoom calls, a lot of Google Meets, a lot of face-to-faces, talking to people, and just kind of get an idea of what their what their day-to-day is and how they operate. And when you can do that, you can kind of, we kind of go from the known to try to find out what is unknown.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so you try to figure out what a person has, if they have if they're in business, or what they do, where they can get their records. If you work for somebody, it makes it extremely easy, because
Yes.
even if you don't have your records and you forget, all you would need to do is to call your former employer.
Right.
If in fact your employer is out of business, you can still, it would be after the 31st, but you can still make contact with the IRS and get a report, because every employer has to send a report of what they paid everybody. So when they send that report up, that goes to your record as well. So you can still pull it up and find it. It would be after the date, naturally, because they don't have to turn their stuff in until January 31st. So if you're late and you don't have enough time, or you're running out of time, you can do it that way.
But
Go ahead.
oh, sorry.
Go
I thought you were
No,
done. For those who don't keep a record, the beauty of the debit card is that there's an electronic record of every charge you ever made. So you just print off your statement.
Or we're in the Cash App age. Cash App has they have a statement. All of these Cash, Zelle, all of these have different statements that you can use and pull it up, and I've done that as well. So
Well,
And isn't it true, like if you are trying to keep track of, if you want to claim your hospital stays and doctor's visits and all that, you can ask your doctor too for a listing.
Right.
The billing department in the hospital, and they'll give you a listing of everything you
Absolutely.
pay.
Absolutely.
Yep, to turn that
so,
in.
and that's handy to know. I'm glad to know that. But I just want to be clear that you're saying for people who have the Zelle and the Cash App and the other electronics, they can keep a record of that. But maybe there's somebody who still carries a bankroll of cash money. What would that person do?
We'd have to have a long conversation about, what it is that not so much what it is that they do, but how it is that because you keep a record, somewhere you keep a record. You have to, even if we have to go backwards, you stay somewhere. So if you stay somewhere, then you have to pay rent, mortgage. So you have expenses if you live, even if you are without shelter, you still have some expenses somewhere. You have to, you eat. What do you spend when you eat? You get around, you're on transportation. So there's a record of you everywhere. So just with the conversation, you can kind of, and to be quite honest, you have to estimate it sometimes, because you don't necessarily know, you don't have exact, but basically you can kind of, back yourself into it, I would say.
Back in the 90s, when we first started off, there was this brother who ran a fish shack. It was a cash basis.
Not a fish shack.
And he had stacks of receipts. I still smell those receipts in my head. The grease in the fish. And I forgot the name of the store, whatever. I know his name though. And he would bring them in, and they would make the whole, because we were out working out of the house at the time, and the house smelled exactly like the fish shack. But I tell you what, he wrote everything down. I mean, every transaction he just wrote down. And what he didn't, he just remembered. And sometimes you can just look at the price of a thing and just multiply the times you consumed it. It's okay. I ate it such and such yesterday. It usually cost me this much. Write that down. A cash ledger. Those are real deal. Just writing down with pen and paper. Keeping a record on Excel. That's the cheapest way to do anything is Excel.
Wow.
Going in, just typing out what you did. Just making a guess. 12, I eat this much once. How many days a week? Where do I eat most of the time? If I eat out, what's my grocery bill? If I do it by groceries, if it's cash, and just do a little quick write down and do that for yourself. And that's where the planning part comes in. Tax planning doesn't have to be done by a professional. You can plan yourself. That means that you estimate every month how what your spending is, cost and spending, house, properties. Sometimes you got that, whereas you own something, you're paying taxes on it. You want to make sure you keep all of that. Okay. And because we tend to ask the very people who to profit off of us not knowing.
Yes.
Right. So you're not going to get an honest answer.
Yes.
And it's best to do it ourselves. And if we haven't done it, this is a good time to start doing it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Wow. You're watching Nothing But the Truth with Brother Jamil and Sister Tisha.
Mm-hmm.
Tonight's guests are Brother David and Sister Kathryn Muhammad from Jackson, Mississippi, 3D consultants, actually. And they're with us tonight to talk about strategies and plans to make sure that you can move through tax season with the least amount of trouble possible. And it is possible, we're learning tonight, for even those who don't keep pristine records and don't do all the kind of micromanagement that, you know, should be done, to be honest, they can still benefit from the actual access they have
Yes.
to good counsel, to good advice, and sometimes the best advice is for the advisor to advise you in general, not in
Mm-hmm.
particular. And I think what you're hearing tonight is a tribute to that. I want to thank some of the people who are gathering from around the country. I want to shout out a few folks who are here with us tonight. We can see that Dallas, Texas is online. Dallas, always good to see you.
Always
You
represented.
always weigh in first. We appreciate you. It looks like Greensboro, North Carolina is on with us tonight. And I wonder who these extra folks are from Jackson. Don't know who they might be, but Jackson, Mississippi is in the room tonight. And we are grateful to be broadcasting into the forests of the Ozark Plateaus of Northwest Arkansas.
Love
Yes,
it.
all over the country, folks are gathering to get this information. We appreciate you stopping in to be with us tonight. Tisha, I hope I'm not forgetting anything, hun, but this is a discussion that I did not know I would enjoy this much.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
learning about what we can do and how to do it correctly, I never thought about how to do a W-4. I never thought
Right.
about that. But
Right.
there are ways to do that. I never thought about annual planning or monthly planning. Maybe we should try that next year,
Mm-hmm.
with the annual or monthly planning. And maybe whoever those bankroll people are, they can come up into the 21st century, you know,
Right. Right.
and stop walking around like, they out in Ohio somewhere in the middle of the ghetto, whoever they may be. Uh-huh.
This subject is so important because we want to do, we want to make sure our house is in order, however that looks. And making sure your taxes are caught up is part of that. It's stressful when you get behind on your taxes. And what
Yeah.
we're learning is you don't have to. There are people here who are able to help you navigate that field if things of parts of it are unfamiliar. Like I just
Mhm.
learned that guessing on my withholdings is not good. So I'm
Right.
going to go to the irs.gov and fill that out. That is something that I get hung up on every time I switch jobs. I'm like, what should I put? What do I? And so hopefully I've been doing it right, but if there's a way that I could get more money at the end of the year, I need to know what that is.
Right.
So
Right.
this knowledge is power, right? So
Right.
that's why it's important that we did that. And please forgive me for taking my glasses off because I'm streaming from something different and my bifocals weren't bifocal and I couldn't see y'all. So
Okay,
a
but you're
little too
cute
close
though.
to the screen. So
But
I
you,
just
but you,
had to,
but you heck of cute. You cute even without the glasses.
we'll work that
Okay.
out for next time. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. You even cute without the
People's
glasses,
going,
because
what is she doing?
yeah.
She couldn't see y'all. Okay.
Okay. We're heading to the bottom of the hour. There is much more to come in the second half of the program with Brother David and Sister Kathryn from Jackson, Mississippi. 3D Consultants is the name of their business, and I would recommend at least a conversation with them,
Yes.
especially if you need help with marketing, business, any of the planning that goes along with making your business successful. That doesn't mean that, the MBA doesn't mean might be all right. That's
Right.
not what that stands for. No, that stands for Master of Business Administration. So they carry not only the learning, but the letters to prove it. And if you are interested in contacting them, get the number off your screen or scan the barcode that's there in the screen. But you can actually contact 3D Consulting and get help for what you need. Now, Tisha, is it time for us to go into some other information that folks may want to know at the bottom of the hour?
Yes, it is. Yes, it
Well,
is.
and I'll tell you. Now, what are we looking at, Tish? What is that?
This is a product that our wonderful sister Javon Muhammad has come up with. And we here at Nothing But the Truth with Brother Jamil and Sister Tisha are all about sharing the best of what we know and what we've come across with our guests. So we're bringing this to you. Are
Wow.
you going to tell them
Wow.
what it is, or you want me to tell them?
Sure, sure. I mean, I can bear witness to it. I by way of disclosure, I have to go back. I have a 15 or more year history eating Sister Javon's bean soup whenever I would come
Mm,
in and out
mm,
of
mm.
the Bay Area in San Francisco where she was at that time. But now she's made a technological advancement. I want you all to look at the screen really closely. She has a freeze dried navy bean soup that you just add hot water and you can either eat it today or check this out 20 years from now.
Right.
You can either eat this today or 20 years from now, and it stays in an edible status, fresh and safe for you to eat up to 20 years because she's using the up to the minute technology of freeze drying. And we'll be back with more programming about that too. But you can order it. You can get a 4-pack, you can get a 12-pack, you can get a 24 pack of case, and the shipping is free. So I
Mm-hmm.
want you all to know how you can get it. You go to the website, which is being updated right now while we're speaking, but you'll hear it right now. So get your pens and papers ready. Okay, Denise, Jerry, you ready? Everybody got the okay. Mommy, you got your pen out? Okay, I know Ashley has her pen out, so we don't have to
Yes.
worry about that. All right, here we go. Sugar Shack. That's SUGGAHSHACK
Mm-hmm.
sugarshackfarm.com. Or you can go on the social media and inbox Javon, Jayvon Muhammad, and you can get more information about the bean soup. Now, we have a personal testimony
Yes.
about the good bean soup. One brother got it, had it shipped to him. He wanted to save it, but it didn't last but a day and a half at his house.
Mm.
It didn't last but a day and a half. He said, all I had to do was add a little salt and pepper, man. This stuff good, man.
Right. Right.
He attests to the fact that it's seasoned right, prepared right, and you don't want to miss your opportunity to get it. Sugar Shack, navy bean soup, freeze dried. Just add hot water. Think about your survival kits. Think about what you
Absolutely.
store in your houses. And this is an example of the life-giving message that we
Love it.
receive from Minister Farrakhan and try to share with each of you on Nothing But the Truth.
So
Wow.
exciting. So
It
exciting.
is. It is. It is. How
Good
y'all
stuff.
doing, Brother David? Sister Kathy, you all right?
Oh,
We're going to go get some more
so
questions from the
exciting.
audience in just a moment. But as
Okay.
people come in, and I notice on programs like this, there are
Mm-hmm.
not a lot of questions because people don't have playroom on this matter. This is a serious matter. When you talk about IRS, when you
Mm-hmm.
talk about the federal government, when you talk about how to manage and navigate the difference between federal tax, state tax, sometimes even local municipalities have taxes that they collect from wage earners at the end of the year, in addition to sales and excise tax on goods and services that people buy throughout the years. Let me ask you, what do you think will be, and this is, I'm asking for projection now based on your professionalism, what do you think will the effect be on the tax liability or benefit of taxpayers regarding these tariffs, the recent business tariffs imposed by President Trump and other world leaders as an escalating trade war begins to take shape? What are your ideas about how that will affect business, taxes, and the economy in general?
Well, short answer was that a tariff is a tax. It
Mm-hmm.
definitely is. And when a product comes in from another country, if they have to pay a tariff on it, they will have to pay whatever that cost is, plus the tariff cost of what is charged to go into the country. The company would have to pay that. Now, generally, the company would have the choice to make. They could say either we're going to eat all of that cost, or we're going to share that cost or add that cost on to our price. Most companies, even if they wanted to, probably couldn't afford to just eat the cost because they have everything budgeted and everything, what they're going to pay. So they have to pass that cost on to the consumer.
Yes, sir.
America is a consumer nation. Most people buy things, and
Mm-hmm.
so you have to
Mm.
figure out. You're going to have. It's going to cut into what your income is. A lot of people in America are on fixed income,
Right.
And so their income doesn't change.
Wow.
And even if every year they have what is called a cost of living increase for those that are on fixed income. Usually the costs and the prices of everything exceed that cost of living adjustment. So say, for example, if the cost of living increase is 2%,
Yes, sir.
if the inflation rate or the tariff that's added on to your existing cost is 5%, well, you still have lost 2%, even though
Wow.
you get an increase. So over these next few years or days or months, you're going to see a tightening of the belt of a
Yes.
lot of people. People are going to, okay, well, I've got this money and I'm going to go to the basics. And so that's what I think is going to happen. It's going to be tight. So you're going to have to figure out ways to save money and to make your dollar stretch as far as you can.
Wow.
Hmm.
Let me say thank you publicly
Hmm.
to the lady on the other end of the camera there, that great Tisha Muhammad. That's her sister Tisha. Because she is the queen of dollar stretching and value. No, I mean, she gets value.
Yes.
I'm so grateful for her because I used to be the kind of a person. I knew that guy with the bankroll. I knew who he was because, there were similar habits that I used to have. You have cash in your pocket, you buy what you want to buy, and once it's over, you lose it or you can't find it anymore, you just buy another one. But Sister Tisha is not like that. She makes sure that we track the dollars in our household, that we save as much as possible, that we live within our means. Okay. According to her, I did not need mink lined alligator shoes.
Yes.
According to her, that was not a necessity, so that we voted as a family not to get those this year. Okay. So we maybe next or
I
2028,
understand.
maybe.
Camp with
Okay.
him.
Yeah, in any event, yeah, but I really thank you, Tish, for that because
You're
what
welcome.
you do is represent a certain kind of fiscal responsibility that I think Brother David and Sister Catherine, you all may live that, but for some of us who are just profligate and wasteful, we need this kind of education to bring us up to a level of understanding of how we can have our households run without the stress of debt. We say in our prayer, we seek refuge in the Lord of the worlds, right? From being overpowered by debt
Right.
Yes.
and the
Hmm.
oppression of men. Debt is slavery, whether it's
Hmm.
credit debt, tax debt, personal debt, business debt. It's not good for us to carry large amounts of debt because they attach us to who we owe. And so it's just a great thing to have you all on the program.
May I ask a question? Oh wait, hope I don't lose my train of thought. The first part of the program we talked a lot about how important it was if you have a business, and to
Mhm.
keep your records and the things of that for your taxes. But what about just regular families who don't own a business or anything like that? Maybe don't have to itemize everything.
Mhm.
Can you speak to how coming to your business, coming to a tax preparer would benefit us, right? How would it help us in the long run? Is this something that we should do, or um is it a service that you offer just for regular people to do their taxes, or is it, do you just help business people? Because why I'm asking that is because everything, especially when you're starting out, I'm asking this for young people starting out.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
I want them to get into the habit of filing their taxes, right? On time and keeping their records and think, because it's a good habit to make. But everything you try to apply for as you get older, they want to see your taxes. And if
Mhm.
you're already starting behind the ball, you haven't filed them the last 2 or 3 years, you have no records to help, if I'm making sense, help yourself move forward because you didn't do your due diligence by filing your taxes. And maybe you didn't because you didn't know how to do it. Can you speak to the pros of coming to someone like you to help them do that? Help the everyday average person, not business owner, stay on top of their taxes.
Absolutely. The biggest thing is to make sure, like you just said, good record keeping and making sure that you get in the habit of filing. And a
Mhm.
lot of people, I've run into several clients that they just working a job, doing,
Mhm.
day to day, and then they haven't filed their taxes in a couple of years. And
Mhm.
then all of a sudden they want to get a house.
Yeah.
Or all of a sudden I had one client that had a court date coming up that he didn't know,
Mhm.
and it was had to deal with child support, and they hadn't had taxes filed in a little while. So they had to get that done before the court date, but so they could have everything accurate. And usually, how it happens is that you're not aware of it because it's not on our radar.
Right.
Now, there's some people that file taxes every year and they don't have any problem. They just every year it's just April the 15th. That's what I'm going to do. But usually it comes when it's something that you really, really want to do, or maybe you want to start that business. Maybe that hobby that you have, you need to try to get a loan from a bank or something where they're going to ask for records.
Yes.
And even if you don't have a record of having a business, what kind of record do you have in your own household? And these are things where banks can make a decision whether or not they want to give you the funding that you need, the necessary business credit that you need, or if they're going to say no. A lot of times it's just very simple. Make sure that you have your records together. So like you said, it's important to get into that habit because you never know. Today you may say, okay, well, I'm comfortable with my job. I'm comfortable with my life. But then, one day you see something, oh man, I think I want to start this business. Well, if you haven't filed taxes in the past 10 years, then it's going to be difficult for you to begin to try to get that together.
And for the ones coming straight out of college,
right,
who just don't know that, you can do it yourself. They used to have the 1040 easy. They don't have that anymore. But no, it's no more. It's no more. It's 1040. So to make things easier, of course, you've seen TurboTax commercials. Yes. QuickBooks owns TurboTax. So that's same company. They pretty much own everything now. Wow. They bought out all their competition. So they market the TurboTax for the younger people. If you notice, the commercials have the little 20-somethings.
Yes. To
encourage them to make sure that you are filing. Whether one of the myths that's out there that I don't feel like I should pay taxes, they keep up with you. If you work a job, they know what you made. Okay, so don't try to play games. Your employer has to file, so they know, and that EIN number tracks you wherever tracks your employer. So they know what the person paid out, and they can always reach out to you and say you owe blah 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 blah. Now, you don't want the boogeyman in the shadows coming out at you when you're 22, 23 and you're living the life, and then by the time you get to 30, you're like boom, and they come out and jump and say yeah, and now you're in a situation. And the IRS is one of those places that'll do that. They'll come out and do that to you. Okay. So for younger people like that, when they first start working jobs, you can see on the tax form where it's asked the question, is this person, we're filing what they made at whatever they're working, but they're your dependent. So the IRS knows that they're not going to be paying taxes on their revenue. Their income, they're just under yours. But even if it's McDonald's, they're being tracked. You're 16, you're being tracked. I vividly remember that when I was growing up. I worked at McDonald's from 16 up, and my parents made sure they put me on there. So they knew as soon as she gets out, we're going to look for her. So you're being tracked, whether you know or not. And you get these, oh my goodness, these whoever these people are, these fraudulent tax preparers, and you know what I mean? I can get you $40,000 back. And then you got people making millions of dollars off of tax preparation. There are codes that are being violated there. And they crack down. When they first hired those 87,000 new tax agents at the IRS, they had things to do. So they started looking for people. And it's usually in our community where you see the tax man sitting over in the dark corner on the corner of the liquor store preparing taxes. And they're getting people large sums back. No surety that's been tracked. Government keeps up with all its cash.
Now that gives rise to a question. You talk about the IRS in your description you just laid out, almost sounds like a predatory operation that swoops down on the unsuspecting people that it entraps in their need to generate a few more dollars here and there, hits them with a law that they don't even enforce on the rich, on billionaires, on successful venture capitalists and investment bankers. Is there any of that that's true, or is it fair across the board as you see it?
Well, I wouldn't say so much fair. I heard this term before, that fair is a place where they judge pigs.
Oh
Oh
wow.
wow. Oh
So
wow.
um,
Oh wow.
there's no such thing as fair. It's about being prepared to make sure that you aren't a victim of what's happening. Just one point that I like to note, that usually, especially if you're working a job and you're getting a salary or a
Mhm.
wage, whatever, you're already paying taxes. You
Okay.
know, they're withholding some of your funds. They're taking Social Security out. Everybody is very familiar that if you make $1,000 in a week, you don't bring home the $1,000.
That's
Right.
right.
Well, that whatever that less is, they're going to take a percentage, and that's going into a fund. It's debatable whether or not how long Social Security will be here, and if certain people will get it, whether or not it's going to happen or not, they're still taking it.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're taking some withholding, which whatever you have. So if you do not file, many times you usually will be able to get some of that back. And so in other words, you're paying taxes on a certain amount of money that you made. Let's
Okay.
say you owe $2,000 in taxes, but you
Mhm.
had 2,500 withheld from your check over the course of a year. Well, if you file your taxes, you'll get at least that 500 back, and perhaps maybe some other credits if you have maybe earned income credit if you have a child or two, and you may get some more funds back. But if you don't file, and you
Mhm.
won't get that back, and you'll end up just paying it into the fund. And you
Wow.
have 3 years. If you miss and you're late, you have 3 years in order to retrieve a refund. So if you haven't paid your taxes in 3 years and you have a refund that's beyond 3 years, you still have to file, but you won't get that refund back unless you're
Oh
within 3 years.
wow.
Uh-huh.
Right,
So
right.
it's set up
Wow.
like a casino. The house always wins.
Absolutely,
It's like a
Wow.
absolutely,
casino. I have a
absolutely.
question here. Speaking of casinos and exotic
Okay.
locations and vacations, in the chat, the question came up: is there a legal way to classify a vacation trip as a business expense? Now that's some contortion, I guess. I don't know, but if
Mm-hmm.
it's a vacation, how could it be a business trip? And if it's business, I, tell us what are there ever any overlaps there?
Absolutely.
Oh wow.
If you are on your vacation, if you are
Mhm.
doing some business on your
Yeah.
vacation, then you can deduct a portion of it.
Okay.
So for example, if you are I don't know if you're in the surfboard business
Mm-hmm.
and
Come on,
and you're
now.
going to Hawaii to do some surfing, and in the process you have you want to, you have a business back that you sell surfboards, and you want to purchase, and you're looking to purchase, get some good rates or whatever on some surfboard. You have to do some business negotiation to get some surfboards. You can purchase that, and you can go surfing, and that part of that can go, because part of that is a business trip that you did. You worked and actually did business.
You must have
Excellent.
an LLC or a S
Right,
corp to do that.
right, right,
Mhm,
Oh
mhm,
If
wow.
you don't
Okay.
have one of those, no one's going
right.
to
Don't
believe
do it.
you.
No
right,
one's
So,
gonna.
right.
But
Mhm.
you can have an LLC, but even if it's not an LLC, if it's
oh
just
yeah,
a regular business,
sole
Mhm.
proprietorship.
you can still do it. The key is that you have to have, it should be something business related. If it's just strictly leisure vacation, you
Mm-hmm.
won't be able to
All right.
to get that as a deduction.
So if you have a
All
sole
right.
proprietorship, a single ownership like LLC, a partnership LLC, you have one of these businesses filed with your state because they're going to check for that, and an
Wow.
EIN for that, then yes. But if you just, Brother Joe, and you have no business, and you're like, this is for business, brother. Where is your
Yeah.
business?
No.
They're
Okay.
going to, they're
No,
going to
brother
look.
Joe.
Yeah. So no,
Mhm.
Brother Joe, please have some form of business established
Please, Joe.
before you
Please,
try to
Joe.
plan and try to claim this for a business. So they're gonna look for that. That's
Okay.
going to be requested. If you're going to claim this, they're going to ask the things will come back when we file the tax. What business?
Mhm,
We're
mhm,
going
Mm-hmm.
to tell what business. What's the EIN number for this business?
mhm, mhm.
Is this
Where's your
filed?
records?
What
Right.
state is
Goes
this
back
filed with?
goes
So
right back to your
Right.
right,
records.
and one of the things that if ever you're going to do anything, I know my family members who are in business, they would say, Okay, if they talk to somebody, going to have a coffee with someone, hand them a business card. This became a business meeting.
Oh, nice.
You know, and this is thank you, and then that person hands you a business card because it's understood amongst business people. If we're going to sit down and go somewhere, do something, we're going to exchange
Here's
business
my card.
cards, and this is going to be a business meeting. And you're on a golf course, you know, that's actually partially written. This is a meeting. Most meetings happen on the golf course for those.
Yeah.
So that is a business expense, and almost half of that is written off for what you paid for the course. The 18 holes can be written off the applicant. So, and of course, certain people know these things. With us, when it comes to ownership amongst the Black community, any community, you know, you want to make sure that if you're not in that almost 7-figure area, high 6-figure, 7-figure area, you want to know about your deductibles, right? For the average man, standard deductibles was $21,900 now, $21,900. If I'm not mistaken. 29. Yeah, 29. Okay. So,
all right.
I mean, Birdie, no, it's 21. Okay, either one. But you have another 21.9, 29.1. One of those. It's one of those.
All right. Well, that's Tisha, go ahead. I got a question coming from the chat after you ask your question. Go ahead.
And I just wanted, if you can, because we're getting to the close of the show, but I wanted to just touch real quick. We talked about a little bit for if you own a business. We talked about if you're young coming in. I have a question about, like, if you're in your seasoned area, the married group right there. This is always confusing. If you could just explain it just a little bit. The difference between filing married as single or married as a couple, or whatever it is. What's the difference? Why would I want to file married but single versus just married together? Married
separate, you saying?
Separate, yeah.
Married
but filing separate, however it goes, yeah.
Yeah, that's married filing separate. Generally, the best filing way for a married couple would be married filing joint.
Okay.
Usually, it's been my experience that the separate is done because maybe they're kind of estranged, or one doesn't want the other one to know what they're doing. You know, it basically is because it is. I rarely see a time where the refund is greater if you're married filing separate versus married joint. Okay. And a lot of times it's difficult to get that over to a lot of people, but I rarely see it ever. I've even suggested sometimes that, you know, that if you all don't get along, perhaps you can get along for just a little bit and then split the refund up, because right now one is going to owe and the other is going to owe. Right. And then sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It just depends on, you know, the amount of how well they get along with one another.
Well, now what you just heard was some marriage education right there. They're pulling couples back. You're doing this for families, okay? And it's making stronger families and marriages. Let me go right to the chat. We got a couple of minutes. Tisha, do I have time for just two questions in the chat?
Go ahead, please.
Okay, thanks. First, we hear from our friends over in Atlanta are with us tonight, the Rockwell Radio Show. Big shout out to Brother Vaughn and Big Dave C. Does your company help with setting up LLCs or corporations?
Yes, we do. You can.
That's where I come in. Okay. Yes, sir, we do. In any state you want. Yes, sir. So we go through the state, the Secretary of State's office, wherever you are, and go into the business filing section, and everything you want to know about your Secretary of State's office tell you how to set up your business, and we can assist you with that.
All right. The answer then is yes. Thank you, Brother Vaughn and Brother Dave C. and your families there.
Oh, wait, say it. Hold on, Ham.
For a vacation business-related trip. I think that Brother Jerry is actually in Hawaii. He's sending these questions because...
Read the question again. Because the camera...
What he said, what is the maximum amount that can be written off for a vacation business-related trip? Okay? So you can see he's in Oahu right now at the surfboard shop talking about Hang 10, Malahu. Yes. Okay, he's doing his thing there.
Here's my card.
Here's my card. Yeah, okay. So what does Brother Jerry do, hypothetically from Hawaii?
Generally, it's 50% deduction for any like travel like that, travel or meals or that kind of thing is 50% in general. There are some cases where they're less, but generally it's 50% would be deducted.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Thank you for your question, Jerry. Aloha to you. And let me say a hearty
That's
bookum Dano,
hilarious.
bookum Dano. We appreciate you. Okay. Listen, we are wrapping up at the top of the hour. See how we have more questions, Brother David,
Hmm.
Sister Catherine. I hope that you will consider coming back
Please.
for a part two of this program. The information that people are getting is so vital. When the program goes in to be watched after it airs live, you're going to see
Hmm.
more and more people visiting and calling you, and we hope that they do. I'm going to turn it
And we
back over
need
to
to.
Tisha before we get ready to roll out. Tisha?
Yes. Before we go, Mystery Man, can you put up the information on how our guests can get in touch with Brother David and Sister Catherine? Because we have 5 days before it's time for us to meet the deadline for filing, right?
Oh, my.
There it is, family. This is how you get in touch with them. 3D
Okay.
Consulting will help you with all of your tax preparation needs. Simply
Mhm.
call 769-257-0575.
And that's not just tax preparation, that's also business development, that's
That's
also
true.
licensure, and it's also helping you with interstate commerce to make sure you move around any barriers to your growing business. Even even in America, as unstable as it is,
Mm-hmm.
I read that there were bees making honey in the carcass of the lion. So let's get busy, make some honey.
Wow.
We thank you so very much for being with us tonight. Yes, online or in person tax planning. The number
Yes.
again, 769. Say the rest for me, Brother David.
257-0575.
There it is, 257-0575. We have reached the saddest hour of every Thursday, Tisha.
Yes.
The
Oh,
saddest hour is when we have to say thanks. Any parting information you'd like to share with the audience, and then we'll get ready to close out. But we thank you all for joining us. We couldn't get to all of your questions from everywhere, but they'll be
yes.
back. We hope that they'll be back within a reasonable amount of time. And so we're asking you to hold on to your questions, but please do something before April 15th. Okay?
Absolutely.
Yes,
Brother
sir.
David and Sister Catherine?
Floor is yours.
I would just say that, as we're going into this season, make sure that you have your records together. And even if you're not ready to finish everything by April the 15th, at least do some extension so that will give you at least 6 months to get your stuff together and
Thank you.
organized and just make sure. So if you say, well, it's the 15th, it's too late, I can't do it. You can do an extension. We can do an extension for you. Once you
Yes.
get the extension completed, you have 6 months, which would be October the 15th to complete your taxes.
Thank you, sir. Sister Catherine, these next 28 seconds belong to you.
Consultwith3D.com. That's
That's right.
consultwith3D.com.
That's it. Consult with
Consultwith3D.com.
3D.com.
All right.
That's what you want to do.
Oh,
We have
aloha.
been here, and this has been the first edition in season 3 of
Yes.
Nothing But the Truth with
Brother Jamil.
and Sister Tisha, and our special guests tonight, Brother David and Sister Catherine, and all of you. We thank you for joining us. We tell you we'll be back next Thursday, and we just going to build and build on the excitement and the real attraction of Nothing But the Truth. Thank you so much for joining us. May Allah bless you one and all.
Sir.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum
Alaikum
salam.
salam.